TYT would like to thank Squarespace for making possible our coverage of the 2017 Oslo Freedom Forum. Whether you need a website, a domain, or an online store, make your next move with Squarespace. You can start your free trial at squarespace.com/TYT, and you'll get 10% off your first purchase.
This week, Taiwan's Supreme Court cleared the way for the island to actually make legal for same-sex couples the right to marry. It's not immediate, it hasn't actually happened just yet, but this is an important hurdle that should make it happen within the next couple of years. And this is important not just for Taiwan, but for the entire region, because this is the first country in Asia that theoretically could allow it to be legal across the country. The court said that current marriage laws were, quote, in violation of both the people's freedom of marriage and the people's right to equality, and it gave 2 years for legal amendments to allow same-sex marriage. Now, that theoretically puts a lot of pressure on the legislature to follow through on that, hopefully not taking 2 years to do it. But even if they don't, it apparently is going to lead to same-sex marriage being legalized. The court said if relevant laws are not amended or enacted within the said 2 years, two persons of the same sex who intend to create the said permanent union shall be allowed to have their marriage registration effectuated. So there's some poetry for you right there.
What's effectuate? I think a guy did that to me once on a train. Sorry.
That doesn't sound good. Okay?
What is effectuated?
No court would sanction that, okay?
Just curious.
But this is good. Made effective, I suppose. And so theoretically, within 2 years, it's going to be legal. Now, I did a bunch of research into public opinion in both Taiwan and in Asia. Why is it that we haven't had this legal before? What's interesting is that inside of Taiwan last fall, there was a Public Opinion Foundation poll that showed approval for same-sex unions at 46% and opposition at 45%. And so it isn't, in my experience, isn't usually the case that this sort of legalization happens when things are that close. It's generally one of the issues where it needs that surge of public opinion to eventually be made legal. But if you take a look at this map we're going to show you right now, you see a good number of states between 2000 and just recently legalizing same-sex marriage, but nothing other than New Zealand that's all that close to Taiwan. Obviously a very different situation there.
Geographically close?
Geographically close, yeah.
In the Pacific Asia.
No, I mean culturally.
Yeah.
Geographically.
New Zealand are trailblazers, first country in the world to give women the right to vote, and they will tell you that every time you meet a Kiwi.
Oh, really?
They're very proud of their
why did it take them
heritage.
to 2013 to make same-sex marriage legal? No, anyway,
yeah,
New Zealand's
kind of
awesome.
crazy, yeah.
But so I was interested, so this is going to happen in Taiwan. Is it possible that it'll happen in other places? Well, a Pew poll of China from back in 2013, there's not a lot of updated information on some of these in some countries, unfortunately. 57% were against accepting homosexuality. Now, that's a broader question than specifically same-sex unions, and there's been a few years where public opinion could change theoretically, but that's not necessarily where we'd want the country to be at, especially when it contains such a significant percentage of all the world's people. But Japan, in late 2015, 51% supported same-sex unions. And interestingly, although perhaps not surprising, 70% of those in their 20s and 30s supported it. Only 24% of those in their 70s supported it. So maybe it's moving in that direction in Japan as well. And there were a couple of cases where they actually allowed, I believe, lesbian couples to become legal.
Why just lesbians?
Well, and why just 2 or 3 couples? But apparently it was one judge who took it upon themselves.
Okay,
but it's not widespread.
About why he did it.
That's true. Well, whatever. Okay, equality by any means, I guess.
I don't want to besmirch that
but not
judge.
legal across Japan or any other country in the region. But still good news.
Yeah. So what's China's stance on same-sex marriage?
Right now, it's not legal.
Yeah, I guess like this is a big blind spot in my knowledge, is like societal homophobia in Asia. I just don't know. I just didn't think of it as a particularly homophobic place.
Yeah, I mean, these are cultures that are in some ways incredibly progressive and secular, in other ways incredibly traditional.
Yeah.
But what's good is that when you look at the youth in these countries, they generally tend towards more acceptance, more equality, and those sorts of things.
Yeah, because they're not grumpy old crackpots.
Yeah.
Sorry, I love old people. I am an old people.
Old people already?
I'm getting to be an old people.
But anyway, hopefully within 2 years we'll be able to color in another one of these little areas green. Not a very big area, but important for the people living there.